Greetings nerds and virgins, welcome to the video. Today we're going to be going through banned UFC fighters, but before we start, can you like and subscribe? I'm getting views, but I want some subscribers as well since I'm building a community here. So please subscribe to hop on the shadow train. Choo choo, hop on the shadow train. But yeah, the UFC and its CEO Dana White are notoriously tough to please, meaning that climbing to the top often means years of being a yes man and keeping the powers that be happy. But the moment you start thinking about yourself, or heaven forbid, embarrass the promotion in any way, shape or form, you're shown the door in a blink. The margins for error in prize fighting are thus are few and far between, and these following fighters found it the hard way. We'll kick things off with Muhammad Mokaev, whose UFC 304 fight week was nothing short of a whirlwind of controversy. On fight night, Mokaev racked up a victory over Manel Kape, boosting his UFC record to an impressive 7-0. He even hoped for a title shot after the fight, but during the post-fight press conference, many were shocked when Dana White claimed that the 24-year-old won't be stepping back into the octagon. White even threw a little shade, saying, "I think the PFL is going to get a great undefeated guy," hinting that the UFC matchmakers weren't thrilled with Mokaev. Many speculated that Mokaev's grappling heavy approach was the reason for his dismissal. Others pointed to a heated pre-fight altercation with Kape at the Fighter Hotel as a potential factor, but the real tea was spilled by a MMA personality known as Ben the Bane Davis, who shared some intriguing DMs from an anonymous insider. According to Davis, Mokaev allegedly tried to leverage PFL's interest in him to score a fatter deal with the UFC. Dana White and company apparently caught wind of this negotiation tactic and decided to cut ties with the Dagestani-born British fighter. Since then, Mokaev has been trying his best to mend his relationship with the promotion, but nothing has worked so far. Like Mokaev, Paul Daley was one of Britain's brightest stars when he signed with the UFC, but his time in the promotion was cut short after just 3 fights. The Brit's last promotional bout was a welterweight title eliminator against Josh Koscheck at UFC 113, where a win would have put Daley on a path to a title shot against GSP. Unfortunately, his dream of facing the GOAT was cut short when he lost to the American wrestler by unanimous decision. However, the real drama unfolded after the final bell. Frustrated by the fight and Koscheck's wrestling heavy approach, Daley charged at his foe and sucker punched him. The UFC brass didn't take too kindly to the unsportsmanlike move and fired Daley on the spot. They even slapped him with a lifetime ban.
We had an incident with a guy named Paul Daley who hit somebody after the fight was over. We cut him. He'll never fight in the UFC ever again.
Moving on, we got MMA fighter turned pro wrestling superstar Matt Riddle, who had trouble with drugs. Riddle was building an impressive career in the octagon when things took a turn after he tested positive for marijuana, not once but twice. The first time was after UFC 149, where his win against Chris Clements was overturned because he failed the post-fight drug test. The second one came in February 2013 when his victory over Chi Mills was also wiped out due to another failed test, leading to yet another wellness policy violation. With 2 strikes in less than a year, the UFC decided they had no choice but to cut him loose. Now, who could forget the infamous Nashville Brawl and Jason Mayhem Miller's starring role in it? The controversial fighter made headlines in 2010 when he crashed Jake Shields' post-fight interview at Strikeforce Nashville, sparking an all-out brawl with the Diaz brothers that became the stuff of MMA legend. After taking a year-long break, Miller returned to the UFC as a coach on The Ultimate Fighter Season 14, facing off against Michael Bisping. The rivalry ended up in a fight at the finale, where Bisping handed Miller a tough loss. Despite that setback, Miller was given another shot at UFC 146 against CB Dollaway. However, things went south when Miller made a pre-fight comment about considering retirement. Holloway ended up winning the fight, and Dana White wasted no time in cutting Miller loose. The UFC president is a firm believer that when a fighter thinks about retirement, it's time to hang the gloves up for good. Now imagine you lied your way into a job. What's the worst that could happen? Maybe you get caught and fired, right? But what if the stakes were higher, like stepping into the cage with a record built on pure fiction? You're probably going to get whooped. That's exactly what happened with Askar Mozharov, who pulled off one of the biggest resume frauds to sneak into the UFC. Mozharov made his UFC debut in 2022, boasting a flashy record of 25 wins and 7 losses. But when Sherdog started digging into his past, they uncovered a rabbit hole of lies and deceit. Turns out Mozharov had erased nearly half a dozen losses by using different names and even switching up his nationality. Even before he could step into the octagon, Mozharov's record crumbled to 19 wins and 12 losses, but since he was already booked for his debut, the UFC let him fight Alonzo Menifield, who absolutely pummeled the cheat, dropping his record to 19 and 13. Mozharov was fired by the UFC in the immediate aftermath of the loss, but Sherdog continued to dig into his past, removing more fake wins. He now stands at 15 wins and 14 losses. And some honorable mention, guys. For banned UFC fighters, we got James Krause because of the whole betting thing, and Derek Minner, of course. But yeah, guys, those are some blacklisted MMA fighters from the UFC. Remember to like and subscribe to hop on the Shadow Train. Choo choo, hop on the Shadow Train. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you at the top.
You tried to break me, but you couldn't tear me apart. I've got a fire inside, gonna ignite and restart. I'm rising up higher than before. With every step I take, I'm closing in on the score.